never seen a man cub before. It's so small.
Kira, why am I different?
You are special, little brother.
You've got hands, so let's use them. Jump!
Out of my way!
I shouldn't let them pick on you like that. Wolves are supposed to be with other wolves.
He's not a wolf.
I've seen the way you look at the village. Mowgli, you are one of them.
All I've ever wanted is to belong.
You will always be my son, Mowgli. Nothing can ever change that.
The jungle is changing. Man is taking more of it. And the boy may just be our only hope of survival.
We're afraid of what man might do to us. The pack needs you, Mowgli.
How you've grown.
I am not a man, but neither am I a wolf. Which of you will follow me?
Man cub, the whole jungle has been watching you.
I won't fail!
That was the second trailer for Mowgli, Legends of the Jungle, the new film from Netflix. It's out in theaters, in limited release, and on Netflix on December 7th. This is the first big blockbuster film from Andy Serkis, who many of you know as Gollum from Lord of the Rings or King Kong from King Kong. He's a very prolific motion capture actor who's now getting into directing, and this was his first big movie that has had a very interesting history. This went into production sort of in tandem with Disney's Jungle Book movie. It was originally titled Jungle Book Origins, I think, and then, of course, Disney's Jungle Book was a mega hit, and it's gone through many different changes over the last year. Originally, it was going to be released by Warner Brothers. They sold the distribution rights to Netflix. The distribution date got pushed back, and of course, they changed the title to Mowgli. And now we have what's probably going to be our last big trailer before it comes out at the end of the month. So, Adam, what did you think of it?
Well, okay, so for the trailer, I'm a little mixed. I'm really interested to have a discussion on just the whole package, you know, from who's involved to this incredibly tumultuous journey it's been on just to get to the big screen and then not get to the big screen, quite frankly.
Get to the small screen.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of the trailer itself, I was a little disappointed, especially coming from someone who, you know, thought the first trailer was intriguing enough. This seemed to kind of not just did it not land in a visual or emotional sense, it also felt extremely redundant to Jungle Book, even down to kind of the composition and the tone of a lot of the shots. Like the character that plays the boa constrictor, the snake, it looks exactly like the one from Jungle Book. Like, I'm ready to hear Scarlett Johansson's voice in my head. I'm like, no, it's a different
Kate
movie.
Blanchett. Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God. Like, and it's not that any of that was bad in Jungle Book. I love Jungle Book. It's just this unfortunate thing, kind of like how White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen both got bought about the same time and made about the same time, except with those two movies, they were both original stories from different writers. Jungle Book and Mowgli is the same source material. So that's, you know what I'm saying? Two similar movies often get made, like Day After Tomorrow and I can't remember what the other one was. So I don't know. I part of me thinks I'm judging it because it's like the bastard child. It's this, it's not the firstborn. And then part of me just thinks it does not live up to the hype in terms of just the production quality, especially for someone as accomplished as Andy Serkis.
I honestly, if Disney would have released this trailer and it said Jungle Book 2 at the end, I would not have batted an eye. No, really, because what's interesting is you're right. Like with Jungle Book, there really isn't too much you can do to differentiate it aesthetically from another live action CG Jungle Book remake, because it's like the animals, they're animals, they're CG animals, it's a small Indian kid, it's automatically going to have the same aesthetic, which is, I think, the problem that this movie sort of ran into. Is it's just, there was no way to make it look any different than what Disney did, because it's a boy in the jungle with animals. It's like, if you're going to do the animals CG, it's going to look a certain way, and that's just the way it looks in both movies. So it's like, yeah, if you would have called it Jungle Book 2, I would have been like, oh wow, they made a Jungle Book 2. That looks cool. And two, because one of the things that Jungle Book, the first Jungle Book, didn't go into, that has kind of been got into in different adaptations, was sort of Mowgli's relationship to his human side, and sort of interacting with the human world. There wasn't any of that in the Disney Jungle Book movie, whereas that seems like it's going to be a key part of the plot in this movie. So if it were Jungle Book 2, it would feel like a natural progression of the plot, but this is a different movie.
See, that's so funny, because when I was watching this, on one hand, I'm thinking, I've seen all of this before. Then I'm also thinking, why is this so different? Like, there's something else that I haven't seen, and I realized, oh my God, there's actual, live action people, that aren't motion captured or animated. They're just people captured on a set or on some kind of green screen. I thought that was interesting, especially with the cast. I believe that's the girl from Slumdog Millionaire who did a great job in that movie, and they seem to have a very diverse cast, which is cool. I mean, movies often get in trouble for casting white actors in the role of ethnic characters, or even doing voiceovers for characters that are known to be ethnic in animation or motion capture. So this is... It looks like a real multinational production, and it seems like really good intention in terms of what it's trying to accomplish creatively. And for the little that I've read about the movie and heard about what Andy Serkis intended to accomplish creatively going in, like, I really wanted this to succeed, and I want to watch this and really be like, yes, that's what I was hoping for. This is a different take. I remember Andy Serkis said it might be a bit darker, but I'm not really seeing that. It's like Jungle Book had its dark moments, and it's Mowgli also has its dark moments. I don't know if the trailer is misrepresenting it, but it's, I don't know.
Frida Pinto is her name, by the way. The actress from Slumdog Millionaire. She's really good, yeah. And it also looks like, I mean, just speaking to the darker aspect, it looks like there might be a character in this movie who's a elephant poacher. That could be that could be a dark element. That's definitely something I'm interested in seeing. I mean, like, honestly, I after the first trailer, I was sort of in that mindset of like, oh my gosh, I just saw this in Jungle Book. I don't want to see this again. I don't need to see this again. After this trailer, it's like, it's still the same movie, but maybe I'm now separated from Jungle Book enough to say like, no, I'm open to a slightly darker and different take on this story. Maybe if I approach it just as it's Jungle Book 2, hell, I might enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed the first Jungle Book movie, so.
But to your point, I didn't really get that it was doing the different take. Like, maybe the first trailer encapsulated that darker tone, or just the fact that I know about this production beyond what I've seen in the marketing material, but it doesn't strike me as like all that tonally divergent. And even what you were saying about the elephant poacher, I mean, all right, look, I'll be honest, I've been up for way too long. I've been up for like 15 or 16 hours, so maybe I missed something and blacked out for 10 seconds. But like the story, I mean, the trailer didn't do a great job, in my opinion, of really sowing the narrative seeds and sampling that. It was almost like, look at our visual effects and look at how opulent this is. And in that case, it's like, but I've been there 2 years ago. If you're trying to sell me on the visual prowess, it's already been done. You have to sell me on the fact that this is different, that the story is different, that the interpretation of the characters are different. And the trailer did not focus on that at all. You know, it's like this trailer would have been great in 2015, and it just didn't quite read the room in terms of what it needed to be successful, even on a Netflix platform, because it seemed like people were smelling fire and jumped for the lifeboats.
Yeah. I it really doesn't tell you too much about the plot. I mean, like, one can speculate. Like one of my speculations just from watching the trailer is that this movie's going to be a lot more focused on Mowgli's conflict with the humans and protecting the jungle from the humans than it is necessarily going to be protecting it from Shere Khan, who makes a cameo appearance at the end of the trailer, but I don't feel like is going to be quite as big of an antagonist as he was in Disney's Jungle Book. But again, that's all speculation, because you're right. I mean, they being Warner Brothers, because this is a very Warner Brothers specific thing, don't edit trailers to accurately reflect what the movie is. They edit trailers to give you beauty shots and sell it,
right.
You know. And there are a lot of beauty shots. I mean, the visual effects look great. Like the animation, or I guess the motion capture on the animals is excellent. I mean, this is Andy Serkis after all, so he's clearly had a lot of experience with it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. It's hard to know sort of what this movie's going to be at this point, but look, I mean, like, hey, this thing's coming out on Netflix in a month. Yeah. Like,
I'm watching it.
Totally going to watch it. Yeah. And I think that might have actually even been a good decision, because I think maybe now more people are going to be likely to watch it because they won't have to be spending $15 on a movie ticket.
It's kind of like
Bright. If that were the case, it would probably, yeah, exactly. It's like, if that were the case, it would probably bomb, but now it's like Warner Brothers is sold the movie to Netflix. They probably recouped their budget in the process, and more people might even see it. So it might all turn out in the end. We won't even technically know, because Netflix doesn't ever release their viewership data, but I have a feeling we might be headed towards something cool. I'm a little optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. And again, like, this feels like a weekend Netflix movie where it's kind of like, you know, it's Saturday night or whatever, or whatever, Sunday night, and you're like, yeah, let's watch Mowgli. Like, I kind of want to curl up in bed with my laptop and you know, get a part of that theatrical experience from the comfort of your home, which is kind of what Netflix has been trying to do with its programming slate. I will say I feel a bit bad for Warner Brothers, because I believe, as we researched and we found out, that Warner Brothers actually had this in development before Jungle Book.
Yes.
So it's something where it's like, early bird gets the worm, and this is kind of, maybe this was their plan all along in terms of style and tone. And yeah, so in that case, like, I don't think it's fair to discount.
Yeah. I mean, studios will do that all the time. You know, they'll sort of greenlight similar movies in tandem with each other. Like, we saw that, I think, several years ago. There were 2 Snow White movies that came out in the same year.
Were there? Oh my god.
Yeah, there was a Tarsem one, and then there was the Kristen Stewart one. But and then there was the White House is under attack thing, where it was like 2 White House under attack movies came out in the same year. But this is different because, you know, I mean, Jungle Book is such an iconic property, and it's like, it's not like Snow White, where you can get, you know, 2 very, very different directors to do very, very vastly different takes on the material. I mean, you know, like, say what you will about those movies, you know, Mirror, Mirror and Snow White and the Huntsman are so different from each other, despite being based off of the same story. It's like, Jungle Book's not really like that. Like, Jungle Book is Jungle Book. I mean, you can kind of do some things with the narrative to subvert it, which I think the Disney one did pretty well. But aesthetically, it's like, yeah, if you're going to have the animals be CG and the humans be live action, it's going to look the way it's going to look. Like, there's just not a whole lot you can do.
And speaking of that, I couldn't tell if the visual effects were better or worse than Jungle Book, if that makes sense. Because on one hand, it's like, it looked different, but I couldn't tell if that was because the render was more stylized, or it actually maybe was even better and more lifelike, even more animalistic. I think, you see what I'm saying? I do. What is your instinct telling you?
I think it's the difference between Disney and Andy Serkis. Like, I think Disney when Disney
really
approaches
funny.
when Disney approaches it, they're like, oh, they're big animals, but they're talking animals. So there's a cartoonish element to it. I mean, they did look very real, but it was like, it was reality, but it was a heightened reality. Whereas I feel like this movie, there was more of an emphasis on making the animals look real, which might mean that when they start talking, it looks a little strange. Quite frankly, in this trailer, I didn't feel like I got enough of a sense of all that to properly judge. Like, I got enough of a sense of what the visual effects are going to be like as a whole to judge it at this point. I think I'm going to have to see the movie to stack it up against the Disney one. But it's definitely, I mean, like, it looks nice. Like, it looks nice.
It doesn't look bad. I think it just, something didn't work about the trailer for me, but at the same time, like, I recognize, this is still a good looking trailer. To your point about the design in a Disney movie, like, this is the weirdest example, but like that Coldplay music video, for the one with where the band basically does a motion capture themselves as apes.
Oh my gosh. I've never seen that.
You haven't? Okay.
I have not.
It's funny because the way it's lit and animated is exactly like Jungle Book, where it's so happy-go-lucky and cartoonish, and there's a warmth to it. And it's very... I think actually Andy Serkis oversaw that production, funnily enough.
Really?
Yeah. He kind of produced that video for the band. So in that sense, it's like, the tone of Coldplay and Disney, seems like it could be in the same vicinity. But with this, it's like the lighting is less pristine. The lighting's dramatic. A little more dirty and naturalistic, and that's gonna, when you're animating animals or motion capturing this and then animating such insane detail, the lighting really does matter. And Jungle Book almost had like intentionally cinematic lighting, whereas again this is darker and kind of more down to earth. Sometimes you watch these movies and what happens in a trailer, like what doesn't work in a trailer works great in the movie and vice versa. So I think it's a wise call to wait for the full film on Netflix, which is just a month away now, I guess.
I do want to say one more thing. I do want to say one more thing before we wrap up, in response to that, because from my knowledge of the production of Disney's The Jungle Book, it was all on stage. So it was all blue screen. So they weren't just creating the animals in the computer. They were creating literally everything in the computer, so that Mowgli, that kid, was the only thing that was real in that whole movie. Certainly. Whereas with this, I bet you money, that production went to India, and they actually shot in the jungle there. So you have the motion capture animals interacting with real environments. This is just a theory, but that might contribute to why you thought it looked a little weird. I'm not 100% sure that's what they did, but I wouldn't be surprised because I know like how they shot the Planet of the Apes movies with Andy Serkis. Like they built a lot of those sets and then had him act in those real environments.
Yeah.
And then did the animation instead of sort of building it all in the computer like something like Avatar or the first Jungle Book movie.
But at the same time,
so that just makes it look different, But I don't know.
The first Jungle Book is really impressive for having built it all really on a computer. Impressive. Like it works way better than it should. Even
they earned that Oscar. They definitely earned that Oscar. Yeah,
absolutely.
So anyway, Mowgli comes out December 7th on Netflix and in select theaters. Please check out the Screen Fever channel for more home experience podcasts, more short films, more content. We'll be putting some really cool things up before the end of the year, so keep an eye out for that. I'm Jackson.
And I'm Adam.
And we'll see you next time.